You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You know, when you look at this week's schedule, it might be a little bit lighter, especially with last week having, the Ole Miss-Arkansas game was the third most drunk SEC game of the weekend. And the Ole Miss-Arkansas game is always stupid. There's always weird things that go on in that game. But it was the number 3 game of the weekend behind Georgia beating Tennessee in overtime, which was a fantastic game, and A&M able to win in South Bend, Indiana against Notre Dame. Then came the Ole Miss-Arkansas game. It was just a drunk game, but Ole Miss made plays necessary to win. First time Ole Miss has won 3 in a row in that series since 90, 91, and 92, something like that. Billy Brewer was the last coach that did that. But this week is interesting in the Southeastern Conference because Arkansas, after what you saw this weekend, Taylor Green going off, they're going to the Liberty Bowl this weekend. They're 5.5-point favorites against Memphis. The game is at noon on ABC. I'm pretty fired up about what that could be. If you look at, this is the second time this year that Memphis has taken Ole Miss's seconds, essentially. The week after Ole Miss beat Georgia State 63-7, Memphis played Georgia State. Ended up giving up 350 yards passing in that game, by the way. And Georgia State struggled to throw the ball against the Ole Miss Rebels, but I digress on that one. But this game will be Memphis dealing with Arkansas right after Ole Miss played Arkansas. So Memphis taking seconds right here is interesting. I like Arkansas in this game. Their offense is really good. UAB is at Tennessee. It's a 39.5-point line. That's a lot of points, especially after an emotional victory or loss against the Georgia Bulldogs. And we all know how that can be taking a toll, but their offense runs so quickly, there's just a chance to just score really quick. They have explosive, and the game's basically over. I don't know much about UAB, but that's an awful lot of points. Missouri is hosting South Carolina. Missouri is favored by 11.5. Missouri is the most underrated team in the Southeastern Conference this year. South Carolina, as Lenore Sellers did not finish against Vanderbilt in their 31-7 loss at home to Vanderbilt. South Carolina fans, get out of my chat, get out of my comments. You officially have nothing left to say. And also, Vandy might just need to be described as a good team. They're pretty good. So we'll see. Missouri's favored by 11.5. Miami's favored by 9.5 over the Florida Gators. The Billy Napier fired watch is well underway. We'll see how that goes. Ole Miss is favored by 12.5 points over Tulane. Game is at 2:30 on ESPN on Saturday. We'll see exactly what that looks like. Tulane's a good team. They're not as good offensively as Arkansas. They are better defensively than Arkansas, but they're not as good defensively as Kentucky. But if you take the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball, Tulane might be a better team as a whole. That makes sense at all. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Auburn is at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a 4.5-point favorite. That's going to be a fun game. Auburn's undefeated. Oklahoma's undefeated. John Mateer has looked really good. Mississippi State's favored by 22.5 points over Northern Illinois. We'll see how that looks. Mississippi State should easily win that game. Vanderbilt's favored by 27.5 over Georgia State. It's weird seeing plus 25 lines with Vanderbilt. That's hard for me to get used to seeing. But Georgia State beat Vandy a year ago, so we'll see exactly how that goes. Southeast Louisiana is a no-line game at LSU. LSU's offense has not looked very good this year. They're just not right for whatever reason. And leading into the Ole Miss game, this is kind of their warm-up of getting ready for that. Ole Miss has Tulane. They have Southeastern Louisiana. And finally, you have Sam Houston at Texas. Texas is favored by 41.5 points. That is way too many points for this offensive team. I think the safest bet might be Sam Houston in this one because I don't know if Texas can score 41.5 points against Air right now. So we'll see exactly how that looks. Good team. I mean, everything's going to be fine, I'm sure, with them. But That's way too many points. So thank you so much for stopping by and having a good time with us today. And thank you for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your go-to source for Ole Miss sports. We pride ourselves in offering the most comprehensive perspectives, which is why we are the front door of Ole Miss. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. It helps the show, and it's completely free. Your support means the world to us. In another big moment for Locked On, college football fans, Locked On and Fire TV are presenting College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside two-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. A Locked On preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. Howdy toddy, everybody. Remember, analytics is just the old English word that means bad football. We'll see you tomorrow.